Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday night forum.
Yeah, that's right.
Saturday night forum. My name is Morse, and this is my wife.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Nice. All right. So yeah, we are actually excited for tonight episode. Why? Because we are going to talk about
Leadership.
leadership,
Like
right,
what I've told
babe?
you guys last week, that in Inspired Church, we are always talking about leadership. Like we
Yeah.
love talking about it day and night, 24/7, all about leadership, leading people to Jesus, leading our family. We love talking about leadership. And so tonight we are in our episode number two.
So wow.
Episode number two, because episode number one we did it last week with
Yeah.
our Pastor Nolan
Mhm.
Galido. It was an amazing session,
That's
right?
right.
It was an
Yeah.
amazing session.
Yeah, that's right. So tonight we have here the mother of our church, Inspire Metro, the mother of Arise Philippines, my pastor, our pastor, your pastor, right? So everybody, please help me welcome Pastor Judy Galido.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can
Great,
hear you,
great.
Pastor. Hi, Pastor. How
Hello,
are
nice. Hi, Mars.
Hi, Pastor Judy. How are you?
I'm good. Medyo may technical difficulties kanina kaya kinabahan ako
Alright.
lalo.
I know.
Yeah, that's
Buti na lang magaling yung tech natin,
Oo
Pastor
nga eh.
Judy.
I mean,
You know that.
buti na lang, if those of you don't know, our tech right now is Pastor Nolan. And
yeah.
so if you
Eh,
have questions, he could actually hear you. So he could he could answer the questions na hindi ko kayang i-answer.
grabe na. Ngayon lang ako naka-experience na yung tech natin is the location pastor.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Pastor. So you know what, Pastor? Hindi to bola ha, but you look even better this quarantine
Even better.
season. Yeah, even hot, even better, right?
Wow.
So so Pastor, I know it's not only me, but for sure some of the girls out there are jealous, are jealous because despite the lockdown, despite the quarantine, you still look good, even though
Wow.
you are actually you are taking good care of your
You look good din naman
kids.
ah.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
nice.
Yeah, you look good even
You
though
look good, Pastor.
yeah, you take good care of your kids, you do the groceries, all the laundries. So Pastor, we just like to ask, how do you manage to do self-care?
You know, ngayon lang atang araw na to ako nagsabi. I managed to do my hair, pero in reality, day in and day out, I always put my hair up because it's much easier.
Yeah.
But you know, this is just a highlight.
Mhm.
What you see in the cam, I don't have it all together all the time.
Right.
I do fight for self-care.
Mm.
Self-care would be reading even at night when the kids are asleep. It's hard. It's hard to fight for self-care. As I want to put it in a way where I don't want to fake myself or sabihin sa inyo that it is not a struggle to fight self-care. And so, yeah, I what I do is whenever the
Yeah.
kids are busog, whenever they have already um, ligo. So I fight to find even those spaces of moments where I could just read and just, you know,
Mm.
that's part of my self-care, reading and journaling. So yun. To tell you
Wow.
honestly, I don't know how, there's probably other moms that are doing better than me, but the key is give yourself some slack. There's no such thing as balance, right? And
Right.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I hope
A
I
lot.
answered your kind of question.
Yeah, yeah, Pastor. I mean, it's all about finding pockets of time for
Yeah,
you
that's
to,
right.
self-care
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
really important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned, Pastor, that what we are seeing you is just the highlights of your life in
Yep.
actuality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it actually leads me to my next question, because I mean, whenever we see you, people see you in our Sunday services. We see you. So I mean, you and Pastor Nolan just having the good. I mean, having the life, good
Oh,
times,
yeah.
just always happy and all these things. But in actuality, I really know that. I mean, us, we are just seeing the facade of your life,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so I mean, I want to know, and of course people would like to know. I mean, we want to know what are the things that is happening behind the scenes. So my question is that, what are the biggest struggle for you being a pastor's wife?
Oh, great question. How do I say this? Biggest struggle. Before, I struggle more on, I think until now, insecurities.
Mm.
Mm,
Insecurities. But now I think it's more on, I know now how to handle it, because being a pastor's wife, so many times you are in the, what do you call this? The unseen, right? And
Yeah.
so, as a human being, so many times you fight for being seen. And so,
that's
I
good.
think not just being a pastor's wife, but all of us struggle with that. That
Yeah.
we want to be seen, we want to be heard,
Mm,
and all of that. I think for me, starting with being a pastor's wife in the beginning, is really struggling with insecurity, because I do the back end, like I take care of the kids, I cook, I so many times, like for example, during the first 3 years of our church planting, I homeschooled Josiah. So all of
Yeah.
those things. And sometimes if you're not secure in yourself, you can easily fall into a trap where you're not important. Why do you
oh,
get
right.
to,
Mm.
bakit
That's
yung
true.
mga mundane, or mga parang feeling ko walang kabuluhan na
Mm,
things na yun yung napupunta sa akin. So I had to
mm,
struggle with those type of things. And sometimes it comes up. It comes up. Insecurity comes up so many times, even up to today. But then I realize is that it's not about trying to stop your insecurity. Kasi insecurity will always be there. Kasi there's always gonna be people that are better than you. There's always
Right.
gonna be people who are prettier than you, or di ba, mas
Yeah.
magaling sa'yo. We live in a very we feel like we think that we live in a perfect world, pero hindi. And so for me, I was able to understand that it's not about the insecurity that I have to deal with, but it's the, what do you call this? The the thing that develops after
Mhm.
that's
insecurity,
good.
and that is discouragement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Ooh,
insecurity will happen, but if you don't
right.
catch it, it will lead into discouragement.
That's
And
good.
the discouragement is the thing that I have to like really fight for.
Mm,
How
Mm.
do I do it? How do I deal with it? I stop the insecurity, I become aware of it, and I say, ay, na-insecure ako dun ah. Parang I feel like,
that's
I'm not.
good.
Yeah.
And then after that, after I acknowledge it, I talk to people. Like honestly, sometimes I know you don't want to talk about insecurity to other people, pero kailangan mo yun.
That's good.
Like right
Yeah.
today, like being online, I feel insecure, and so I told Valerie that I pray for me because I feel like I'm inadequate. And so yeah, that, I think that would answer the question. As a pastor's wife, you deal with a lot of insecurities because you
Wow.
Mm,
feel you are unimportant. But it's not about cutting that insecurity, but learning how to manage
that's
the
good.
discouragement that
I
comes with
love it.
it.
Yeah.
I
So
love it.
good,
I
Pastor.
love it. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you just gotta admit that you are insecure at times.
Insecure,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Why insecure ako?
yeah,
Is that how you
But
react?
yeah, I mean, but at the end of
yeah.
just like what Pastor Judy said, at the end of the day, you gotta find people to help you out
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
from that situation that, oh, I'm insecure. I gotta admit that I'm insecure,
Mhm.
but I don't need to stay insecure. I need
Yes, correct.
people to help me out from that
That's
insecurity
right.
and be
Yeah.
Yeah.
better,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good, Pastor Jay. You talk about insecurities, right? So
Mhm.
May
that's
next question pa ako eh.
wait lang kasi Pastor
Sige.
Jay talk
Sige.
about insecurities. So I
Girls,
have a
ngayon,
question.
all
Yeah, I
of
have a
si
question about
guys muna.
di ba, ladies first eh.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, Pastor Jay, I have a question about insecurities, right? Because like for example, for me, I'm pastor. I want to talk about insecurities in terms of leadership.
Mm.
Like for example, for me, in prayer team, I'm leading. Majority of my members are seasoned Christians, right? So when it comes to leading them, I felt like sometimes they are more knowledgeable enough in
Mm.
terms of prayer. They have a deeper knowledge in terms of theology and all of these things, and that actually brings me insecurity in terms of my leadership towards them. So
Mm.
my question, Pastor, that is actually based on my personal experience, right?
That's a great
So but
question.
I just like to ask Pastor that what do you think is the common insecurities of women as women in terms of leadership, and how do you think we can deal with those kind of insecurities, Pastor?
It's good.
Mm. All right. So you parang, let me rephrase the question. Like, do you feel like you are inadequate or intimidated with season? When you
Yeah,
say season, is it like older,
yeah.
older? Okay. All right. So I mean, nice. You're doing a great job. Can I tell you that? I mean,
Thank you,
I know
Pastor.
I've seen you lead the team, and there's no. I mean, you're doing it. I know that you're insecure. You tell me as your mentor, diba? You tell me honestly, but then you are carrying yourself with confidence, and I am proud of that. And when it comes to your question, I think you're doing it also. You are, even though you are insecure or you're fearful or you're intimidated and afraid, you still do it anyways, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
And I think that's the key for all of us, that even though you feel intimidated, you go against that fear and you do it anyway.
yeah,
And when it comes to like season or when it comes to age, sometimes we get intimidated sa mga older people. But one of the women that I heard in a conference sa Arise, Pastor Maria Dorso, she's an older woman of faith, and she shared this book in her book that age is not a factor.
mm-hmm.
good.
So when you look at a person like in leadership, don't look at their age. Okay? Don't look at
Yeah.
their age. When you're leading them to Jesus, what you're looking at is their inner self, in a sense.
Wow.
Do you need to encourage them to stay fresh if they feel like they're already stale in their walk with God?
Mm-hmm.
Or because sometimes we think that just because they're older, you feel like they're already we assume that they already know everything, right?
Yeah.
And so, but in reality, sometimes even the most the age or what do you call mature person still act like as if they are baby Christians, and vice versa. So in leadership, it's not about young versus old. It's
Right.
us coming together. I
Yeah.
guess you gotta see it from that perspective. But whenever you're leading and you feel like you're intimidated, go ahead and tell yourself it's not young versus old. It's all of us coming together and making an impact in Jesus, for Jesus. So yeah, I hope that
Right.
answers your question.
Yeah. That answer my question, Pastor. Thank you
But you're
so much.
doing great, Janice. You're doing great.
Thank you, Pastor. So
Pastor, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we took off our earrings, AirPods, earrings. Pastor, I mean, as a Filipino, we have this mantra that whenever we talk about leaders or leadership, in a way we are, in a sense, we are referring. I mean, immediately we kind of like referring agad into a man when it
Yeah.
comes to leader. I mean, leader of the
Right.
country, leader of the company,
That's
leader
right.
of the church ministry. We kind of like lean in into finding a man as a leader, right? So, but in actuality, in our church and Inspire, I mean, as I looked at it, for example, in collab team, it's like 50% women and 50% men, right? So it kind of brings into reality that men are great leaders, but women can actually handle like great leadership, right? I mean,
Right.
so my question is that um, because I really believe that men and women should be helping each other for a better leadership. My question is that how can a woman in the ministry help men when it comes to leadership, Pastor?
Okay. Um, Let me think about that. I mean, I have a 11-year-old, almost 11. He's 10-year-old, and so I think the temptation when it comes to me, how I handle or encourage men is making sure that I don't treat them as boys, right? I
Oh,
Oh.
mean,
that's good.
when you encourage them, you talk to them not to the what do you call this, the boy that they were, but the men who they ought to be, right? Because in
Mm,
reality, we need men, not boys, to lead, right?
that's good.
And
Right.
especially in a matriarchal country, diba? I mean, women here in Philippines lead the most, like reality is. And so I think this generation needs to do a better job, which Morris and nice in the youth, you guys are doing such a great job raising men. And so I think that we all have to raise them in a way where we're not babying them. Yung Peter Pan syndrome, that
Right.
we shelter
Yeah.
them too much, that they don't know what responsibility is. And so for me, I have to always look at that. I have to look at you more. I have to look at other men that are leading. I don't look at them as boys, like meaning spoon feeding them everything.
Right.
Allow
Right.
them to make mistakes. Allow them to what do you call this? Step up to the responsibility without even saying, "Oh, hui, do it, or
Yeah.
this." Because in the end of the day, they need to be men and
Right.
not boys. Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah.
That's good, Pastor. That is in a perspective of women to a man, right? But I would
Mhm.
like also to know, Pastor Judy, what advice can you give into the men naman? I mean, in a perspective of a man towards
Mhm.
women who are
Yeah.
actually going or stepping into a leadership platform.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
advice can you get to men? Like, kasi, for example, for me, Pastor Judy, my biggest struggle as a man
Mhm.
of the house, family nice, is sometimes I get into the attitude na parang, no, I'm the leader of the house. Ako yung masusunod.
Oo,
Like
oo si.
that.
Ako yung masusunod. Ano yung expenses na yan? May approval ba yan from me?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's my struggle. I'm struggling with that. So it sometimes it brings me into my ministry also na parang minsan pag tinitignan ko si Nice, parang I'm the one I should dapat ako yung susunod and something like that. But I know it's wrong. So what is the best advice that you can give, Pastor, to the men towards women who are stepping into leadership platform?
Mhm. So, your question would be like practical advice to you so that di kayo magalit sa amin, gano'n?
To me, but for sure it's gonna speak into the men also, Pastor Judy.
I mean, one thing that I know notice sa with Pastor Nolan is that sa marriage kasi sometimes we counsel married couples, right? And so what I notice is that women, with us women, we want to be loved. Okay? We want to
Right.
Mm.
be alam mo yun, suyuin, right? We want to be feel that we are heard, we are accepted. But men is different. Their
Mhm.
language is you want to be respected. Tama.
Right.
You
Right.
want to feel respected. And so I think with men, with women muna kasi mas ano sa akin ng women eh. As long as you always make sure that your tone when it comes to like asking your spouse or your man in your life about things that he needs to do, don't do it in a very insinuating manner, in a sense. Do it in a very respectful way. Okay, and sometimes men just shuts off when they feel like you are nagging them, because
Right.
that actually parang represents to them that you are disrespecting them, pero you just want to be heard, 'di ba? And so men naman, when it comes to communicating with your women, I think you gotta be self-aware that you, yes, yearn for respect, but just like Jesus, he serves, right?
Yeah.
Like in the Bible, always look at it as Jesus loves his bride. That when you look at your spouse, are you talking about spouse or just men in general?
Um, Spouse also, Pastor.
Spouse. So as you look at your spouse, what you're doing is you are loving him just as Christ loves his church. And so, yeah, I think that's the key. Always knowing the language of women and men.
Mhm.
Men love respect, and women wants to be loved and accepted. So, yeah, I think just try to discern how do you communicate well.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you,
You should
Pastor.
listen carefully.
I listened to Pastor Judy. I took notes. Next question.
All right, so Pastor, here's to my next question. May I ask how long you've been leading a ministry now, right now? Mhm.
Oh, babe, how long? I don't remember. 20. So when it comes to ano ba, leadership as a senior, I mean, sa Philippines,
Yes,
9 years.
the ministry pastor.
Even
As
in
a
Hawaii.
ministry, I started ministry sa LA.
Right.
I served at a kids ministry. So
Okay.
Wow.
that was when I was 21. So when I accepted Jesus, I was itching already to serve
That's good.
the
No.
ministry. So wherever kung ano yung open na ministry at that time at our church in LA, Garvanza Foursquare Church. Yun. So 21, since 21
Twen-
years old. And
21.
I
So how
am
long is that?
already, math
Years?
yun eh, nako, patay.
Calculate mo.
Ayaw ko
30.
mag Basta,
Okay.
I know it's more
Ano
than
lang
10
ako,
years
may math
More
now.
than,
dun eh.
pag kinalculate namin, Pastor Judy, marireveal yung age mo. So sabihin na lang natin, more than 10 years old, more than 10 years na si
Oo,
Pastor
yun na
Judy
lang.
lead ng ministry. Right? Okay, Ben, Pastor?
Alright, so
Good.
guys,
Good.
you're
Approved.
right. So Pastor Jay is leading the ministry for more
More than
than
10.
10 years na. Right? So it's really long na, Pastor Jay, and I know that for those for that long years, right, you have been experiencing failures, right?
Yeah.
So Pastor Jay, can you tell us what was the biggest failures you ever experienced that affected you as a person, and
How did you
how
deal?
did you handle or deal with it?
Right.
Okay. I mean, I fail so much.
Yeah.
Hindi ko
Me
na
too.
makakount kung ilang beses na. I fail, let me think. Siguro yung recent na lang, mas siguro recent, ganon. Um, but I don't count it as failure in a sense. But that's a hard question. Good job. But in general, I failed a lot in a sense. I failed a lot. But I think it's not a matter of um, failing, I had to learn that failure is not final. And so, but the question was, what's my biggest failure, diba?
And how
Yes.
did you deal it, Pastor?
How did I deal with it? Okay, so there's recent one was, um, that's hard. So I think it's
Siguro,
How-
Pastor, yung unforgettable.
yeah. And that really affects you, Pastor.
I'm just
So,
trying to figure out if it's okay to say it live.
Okay.
No, I mean, when it comes to kunwari, making decisions na lang, let's say that.
Mm.
We made a decision that we did corrected when it comes to leadership, but I personally didn't like how I reacted in that way. So I felt like I could have done a better job. Okay, so yun na lang. So there's some leadership issues that happen, and then I reacted in a way where I felt after that that circumstance, I felt that I should have done a better job communicating in a more graceful or loving manner, but I didn't. So to me, parang sa akin, I feel like a failure. And so during that time, it was hard because I think that's one of the biggest thing that for me, my personality, that I want to please people. I want everyone to be okay with me. I want to be, and so when that thing happened and people were, I felt like people were saying maybe bad things about us or bad things about me and my husband. So I felt really like a failure. And so, how do I deal with that? It took me a while. I had to go to a counselor to do that because remember, when you are in that position where you feel like you can't get out of it, you need people to
Yeah.
get you out of that pit.
yeah.
And when it comes to failure, I always remind myself of that woman in the Bible, the woman that was caught in adultery, right? In when Jesus was when that woman was in front of Jesus and she was caught in failure because she was caught in act doing a failure, which is being an adulterous woman. So what did she do? I mean, when I look at it, she went to Jesus. She gave it to Jesus. She gave that failure to Jesus. And what she got out of it is mercy, right? She was
Wow.
able to confess the failure to God. She was able to grieve it. She was crying at that time. And then she was able to give that failure to Jesus. And I remember we had this message before, rerouting failure.
Yep.
I remember I preached that there's three things that you need to do when you experience failure. One is yun nga, you have to confess your failure. You have to
Right.
confess. I'm all about voicing out your feelings, your emotions. Oh, I failed. I failed that time. Sana hindi ko ginawa yun. Sana ito yung naging ano ko. And then after that, you not only just confess it to God or to yourself, you confess it to people.
Right.
That's why I needed a counselor. I needed friends to tell them na I feel like mali yung ginawa ko or whatever, but not. And then after that, you grieve it.
Yeah.
You
So
grieve.
good.
Diba? Kasi nagkamali ka. So you grieve it. You have to accept the fact that that was done. That was the past. You have to move past it. You grieve it. And then the final one is you have to give it. You have to give it to Jesus. Have to give your failure to God. And I think over the course of that time where I felt that failure, it took me a long time, but I saw myself going through that phase and it kind of helped me love myself again. So yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
It's really good.
That's good. When you mentioned, Pastor, about the mercy. So, I mean, kanina sa youth conference, it was one of the topics about mercy.
Yeah.
So I think one of the pastor, I don't remember kung sino pastor, but he talks about the difference between mercy and grace when he talks about that mercy is something that we deserve, that whenever we ask for forgiveness from God, we deserve forgiveness from God. But grace is something that we don't deserve,
Yeah.
something
Right.
like that. It was just,
That's so
na,
good.
it was, na, ano ako, na carried away. But
Yeah.
it was good. I mean, whenever you feel failure and all these things, you gotta remember that God has a mercy for you, that
Mhm.
you can move forward from that because God
Yeah.
has a mercy for you and He has grace for you. Unlimited grace, it says there.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. But how come it's like that? No, like we are so hard on ourselves. No,
Yeah.
So many
like
times.
God is available and wanting to give His mercy and grace to us every time we say sorry or we ask for forgiveness. Pero
Right.
it's us in actuality that I know is having a hard time to forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
ano eh, failure. That's fear of failing, or that's the what do you call this? The bait of Satan when it comes to our, security in God.
Yeah.
Right.
Next
Right.
question.
Next question is we were talking about mercy and failure. So I'm gonna move on into our when it comes to your spiritual maturity, Pastor Judy, because I mean I've experienced this also that as a frontliner of our church, that sometimes we speak in front, we speak on stage and the platform, right? I mean there are some people who are actually in a sense attacking you, or when I'm not sure if you have experienced that, but how do you handle people who are attacking who are attacking you when it comes to your teaching as in your spiritual belief, like people who are people who are criticizing you as a
Yeah.
pastor, or the things that you are saying that might parang for you it's the right thing, but for other
Yeah.
people it was like that's not the right words, or that's not the right theology, something like that.
Parang
Mm.
opposition.
O parang critics from other people. If you
Yeah.
have experienced this, Pastor Judy, this is also part of being a leader, right? So
Yeah.
how did you handle those attacks?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Especially now that we are online, diba? I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's so easy for people to just throw complaints, throw criticism at you. It's so easy, diba? And the reason why it's easy, it can be anonymous. Right?
Yeah.
They can be anonymous. You can just send that text, even with different names and all of that. So that's a great question for this season. Like for me personally, how do I handle it? See, when how do you handle bashers? No,
Yeah.
for me, in a sense, every criticism, you still gotta listen to it.
Yeah.
There's
That's
probably
good.
a glimpse. How do you say that? My husband says it better than me. There's a what? There's
My coach.
a thing. There's a maybe 1% or 5% truth in the things that they saying.
Yeah.
So for you, it's like this, like illustration that when you eat a chicken, right? You eat the
Mm-hmm.
meat, but you throw out the bones,
Right.
right? So when someone says launch a criticism to you, you process it in a way where what can I get out of it
Mm-hmm.
that I can improve on?
Mm.
And then what are the things that are not true? And it
Mm,
all
feel
comes
good.
down to, I think, knowing your why. Why do you do what you do? Like when you are called by God, I think one of the most important thing for me is that I always go back to that first time when God called me at a passion conference to go back to Philippines. So whenever there's opposition, there's discouragement, there's mga bashers or whatever. Kala mo may bashers, no?
Sikat, no?
Whatever.
Sikat.
Alam mo sikat? Hindi naman. But whenever those things happen, I always go back to the why so that I have an anchor to hold on to when it comes to discouragement. Kasi I hate discouragement talaga eh. Because
Yeah.
discouragement always puts me in a room, lock me up in a room that I cannot go out. And so I tried my best. I try my best to go back to my why. And then I
Mhm.
look at the criticism, eat the meat, throw out the bones, and then
Right.
just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good.
You don't have to prove yourself to anyone, but you also gotta assess if those criticism, if there's a gleam of truth
Yep.
somewhere there. Eat eat something in there so that you can continue to grow, di ba?
Yeah.
Right.
Hindi naman tayo lahat perfect na agad, di ba?
True. That's right. I like it. You gotta find the meat and throw
That's
the
right.
bones.
That's right. Powerful plan.
Parang
Tapos pag may
Dota.
nagsabi sa'yo, uy, out of context, oh, then at least that would, in actuality for me, I see as that, okay, I'm gonna go back to reading the word or
Mm.
learning more about that and let's see if I said something that was really out of context in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
That's good. I think it also applies into some leaders of like corporate world, like companies.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
if you're a boss or if you're a manager, for
Yeah.
sure there are some talks
Behind. Yeah.
behind you with your staff and all these things. But whenever you hear those things, I like what Pastor Judy said. That sometimes you just gotta get the meat and accept those criticism and
Yeah.
adjust to whatever you are doing, but just throw
Yeah.
and those things that you don't need in your leadership.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
actually
that's a mark of a true leader.
yeah,
Being
it's
able to be
actually
teachable, no?
yeah,
Kahit CEO ka pa or whatever,
yeah,
having the heart to be teachable all
yeah.
the time.
So guys, this is not just applicable to church. This is not just applicable to ministry, but I mean, whatever we talk here, it can also be applied in your business or
Yeah.
in the corporate
Corporate.
world.
And even at home, I am a proud
Family.
stay-at-home mom, and I still consider myself as a leader, di ba? And sometimes
Yes.
I don't. I feel insecure about it, but in actuality, if there's women and there's mom out there that you feel like you're not a leader, you are a leader.
You are.
Amen, Pastor. Amen.
Amen.
Even if you are not yet a mom, you're a
Yes,
leader.
yes. You're a fur mom.
Fur mom.
Poor mom.
Pastor, you mentioned kanina about discouragement, and I know that in our church and Inspired, there are people who are coming in Inspired that came from other churches, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen people who are parang in a sense disappointed from other church, or they got hurt from other church, and all these reasons why they are looking for a new church. So my question, Pastor, is that for these people who are actually hurt by other churches, because they say they're hurt, how do you, as a leader, I mean, how do we, in a sense, how do we lead them closer to our church or closer to the culture that what we have, closer to Jesus? Because I mean, for sure that trauma from their previous church is not just a small thing
Mhm.
to deal with. It's a big thing actually.
Yeah.
Their trauma and their discouragement. So whenever they go into new church, like for example in Inspire, how do as leaders, I want to ask this: how do we deal with these kinds of people, leading them to Jesus, but not actually hurting the previous
The
church?
position.
Because we want to honor them also, right? So how do we
Yes.
lead them, Pastor Judy?
Um, I mean, Morse, you actually said it already. You want to honor also the church, and also you want to love on the people that are hurting. Because, I mean, feelings of hurt, they are valid, diba? You don't want to
Yeah,
dismiss their feeling of being hurt. But at the same time,
Yeah.
like what you said, you want to also honor the church because what they're only doing is they're doing the best that they can
yeah,
to lead
yeah,
people to Jesus. And
yes.
so for you, I don't think we can we can heal them.
Mm-hmm.
When they come to the church, all we can do is that we can open our arms and embrace them. We
Wow.
can
So
just
good.
love them. We make them feel that they belong no matter
Right.
what. But when it comes to healing, that job is for the Holy Spirit,
That's
for
good.
Jesus itself, because we are not the Messiah. We are only the servants, right? We are only serving people, but the healing and the restoration and the miracles, those are the job of God, the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit. And so for us, just be who we are as a church, love on people. I mean,
Yeah.
Inspire Church is all about inspiring people to fulfill their God-given potential. So whenever they feel like that potential was stolen from them, we are here to just love on them and show them how they're made of, what's their purpose in life. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really good, Pastor. I mean, like, because it's really in our DNA to welcome people
Yeah.
in different
No, no
journeys,
matter who
right?
you are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so don't judge or whatsoever. We
Yeah.
welcome them to the family.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good, Pastor. And I also have a question because in our church, we always talk about legacy, right? So when we say legacy, it's something that you did good or something that you did that everyone can remember, right? So
Mm.
my question, Pastor, is that what legacy you want to create or you want to do for the people you encounter to be to remember for you?
Mm. That's a great question. Parang pang Miss Universe yun ah. Pwede ba world peace na lang? World peace para mas madali. I wanna live world peace, Janice. Siguro mga
May
ano yun, no?
is ganito, ganyan.
Pang binibining Pilipinas question
Oh,
na yun, ano, Janice?
yeah, pang-arise to, Pastor Judy.
Ano, I think for me, yung legacy, siguro sa mga, to people that know me, I'm all about belongingness. Diba?
Mm,
I don't know, like for me, siguro pag if I die, wow, parang morbid. I want people to know, everyone that I encounter, I want them to feel at home. They feel that they belong in a sense because I grew up in that environment where I'm always the awkward second child, middle child, and so it was embedded in my DNA that now that I received Jesus, part of my mission is everyone that I encounter, I want them to feel that they belong. I want them to feel at home. So yeah, I think that's what I want to leave. And also, ultimately, I want to really see people know their purpose. That's when we heard of Pastor Mike and Pastor Lisa's vision. I mean, I solely believe that that's the key to living a full life. You knowing your purpose, and so I want to leave a legacy to our youth and generation, knowing that they know beyond the shadow of a doubt what they're made of, who made them, right, and what's their purpose. And so that's why we're doing what we do, yeah.
yeah.
Like even you guys inspire you. That is why we do what we do. I mean, it's a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Ministry is a sacrifice, but I'd rather sacrifice for the glory of God than sacrifice with mga needless things, mga things that don't matter. And
Right.
Yeah.
so I think for me that living seeing the generation know their full potential in God. Short answer. Or world
Yeah.
peace.
Thank,
Mas madali.
Yeah, I thank you.
thank you, Pastor. I think you are living out your legacy today because I mean, knowing Inspired Church, we are known to be, parang super welcoming church. Because I mean, as an usher, I usually talk to people, especially new people to our church, and I usually ask them, "Hey, how's your first experience in Inspire? How's Inspire? How's church?" They always say, "Oh, I love the church. Everybody's welcoming.
Yeah.
Everybody, I always felt, belong." That's
Yeah.
that's the word actually. So I think your legacy, Pastor Judy, is in the making.
Wow.
In the making. It's actually you are living out your legacy. So thank you so much for
And
leading us to this kind of culture in our church. I would like to ask our viewers naman.
Yeah, of course you can.
Pastor Judy, can we accept questions from our
sige, basta wag math. Okay? Sabi ko na eh.
guys? Wag lang math. Pag math sa akin, pag ano.
All right, guys, can you post your questions on the comment box so that we can ask our Pastor Jay?
Pastor, while we are waiting for the question, how's Josiah?
It's good na. I thought yung lagnat, he was having a fever, but
I
he
know.
felt like the thing that added stress to him is yung fear niya, fear of COVID.
Baka COVID, right?
Yeah, and so what we did is we prayed for him. Tapos after nun, when we prayed for him, okay na siya.
Good.
I just
Wow.
gave him Advil for the fever, and then after that he's out. It's good, all good.
All right.
Thank you for praying. There's so many people that prayed for him, so thank you guys.
Kasi kami medyo worried din kami dun sa lagnat eh.
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's why we were
Right.
for
Tapos
him.
may sipon pa siya, but now he doesn't have anything at all. Natakot sa prayer natin, no, di ba?
Can't see any questions yet. All right, guys, can you post your question? If you have any questions to Pastor Jay about life, about marriage.
Sige, while we are waiting for the question, Pastor J, I asked this before to Pastor Nolan that parang I know for sure that you have been working and communicating with Filipino people.
Mhm.
What are the traits of being a Filipino that you think is really, really good for leadership?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that you asked him. That was the best question. I mean, best answer though. Relationship. We're very relational, right? And so, especially when people come to our church, I could only say it because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I do church and home, so I could only say it in a context of church and home. So when people come to our church, they feel like they belong, right? Because we have that when it comes to our leadership. It's embedded in our culture that we're relational people. So it
Yeah.
added to that, kumbaga, natin, advantage, because it's embedded in our culture that we are relational human being. I mean, Filipinos are relational, so yeah.
Good.
I think that's the
our.
best.
Yeah, really good.
You have a question?
No, I don't see any questions.
Si Mabel, meron.
All right, there's this was one question from Jasmine Uto.
Utu.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pastor
Jan?
Jay, what? Yeah. What's something you've learned about yourself in this season?
Good question, Jasmine.
Wow.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jasmine.
Wow, from Hawaii. Aloha, shaka. What I've learned from Pastor Lisa Kai. I've learned, she said to us the other day, when was it? 3 weeks ago, about building relational equity.
Wow.
Meaning investing in people during this season. Because this is the best time. I mean, this is when, especially here in the Philippines, right? We're still in quarantine. And so people are available more than ever. And so building that relationship with people, I think, is important. That's one thing that I learned. I have to use this time, maximize this time to build relationship with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting in a connect group is important. Saying hi to people, calling them, those are important things. And to me personally, during in my devotional time, becoming self-aware, because we have so much time in our hands due to social distancing, diba? We are. Oh, she's English. I forgot. I was gonna say Tagalog.
Hawaii.
So during this time, I had time to be self-aware, to listen to God, and ask Him what are the things, what are the character that he wants me to change during in this season, because when busy season comes, I might not have the time and the what do you call this? I might not have the time and the luxury to
Right.
have these moments of, like
Mhm.
being by yourself, extra
Yeah.
time, not being in a commute, or not, like not working. Some of us are working from home, and so yeah, like really maximizing this time. I want to get out of this um, quarantine better than I was when I came in. So yeah,
Wow.
Good.
So
working on
good.
my
That's
character.
cool. Pastor, I think we are ending this session, but before we end, do you have anything to say about leadership to everybody in general?
Okay. What? I
Last
still
one, last one.
Pang beauty queen daw, Pastor.
what?
Pang beauty queen daw.
Oo nga eh, ba't ka ang hirap? I wanna, uh, when my husband told me to do a Saturday night forum, I'm gonna be honest with you, I felt insecure, inept, because I felt like during that time, here I'm confessing already. This is the I know this is the what do you call this? The steps to isolating insecurity. I feel inept because I feel like leadership talk. What do I do? I mean, am I a leader? I constantly question myself when it comes to leadership because we feel like we're not a leader. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mm,
I want you to know that you are a leader no matter what. If you're influencing someone, you are called a leader. And so for me as
right.
a mom, I am a leader because I'm influencing my kids, right?
That's good.
So if
Good.
you're an employee, you have coworkers that you are influencing, and so you are also a leader. And
Good.
so for me, just being who you are, just be who you are and who God called you to be, and don't try to compare yourself with other people. Just,
Good.
be you. I think for me that's the most important thing that I have to remind myself. Just be myself,
Mm-hmm.
and don't be insecure when it comes to feeling that I might not be a leader just like
Yeah.
everybody else. So yeah, simple,
Wow.
but I think for me that helps me a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. It helps me, Pastor. Thank you
Yeah.
for reminding us. You are a leader. I'm a leader. Everybody's a leader.
I know. Yeah. So I am a
Thank
leader
You
now.
are a leader.
I am a leader.
Can you
We will
record
talk
that,
later
Janice?
kung sino yung mas leader.
Lagi kasi, lagi kasi kami nag-debate, Pastor. Ako yung masusunod.
Oo, leader ka, pero mas leader ako.
No!
Anyway, guys, I hope you had fun. Thank you, Pastor
Thank
Judy,
you.
for this
Yeah.
Thank you
amazing
more.
session.
Yeah.
It was an amazing ping pong conversation with
That's
you,
right.
Pastor.
You guys
So
are
blessed with
amazing.
your heart. Arise Philippines. Oh my God,
Yeah.
you guys
Shout
are
out to
shout out
Arise.
to Arise. You guys are
Yes.
leaders in your own way. You guys are leaders. So before we end this, I just want to invite everybody who's watching tonight for our online Sunday
Sundays.
experience.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we have amazing five services, guys. Don't forget. So 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m.
Yeah.
It is
Right.
going to be
Amazing.
amazing. British accent. So see you guys. If you have any questions about the details of our church, we have
That
inspiremetro.live.
live.
Just head to our website, and everything that you need is there. If you want to
Yeah.
give to our church, it's there. If you want to be connected to our church, it's there. If you want to join Dream Team or Grow Track or Connect Group, it's there.
It's there. Yeah.
It's there. So you have to visit our website,
Live.
spametro.live. So, bye, guys. Thank you, Pastor Judy.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Bye.